Hey guys, welcome to Outskirts Overland. It's Wednesday the 26th. Um, Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys. Today I'm going to cover I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself, what I got going on, within overlanding and kind of some things I'm changing with my setup and kind of some stuff along those lines. I do have a podcast coming out with Newfound Overland. It goes live tomorrow on Thursday. I'd assume pretty early in the morning. It's 2 hours long, so go ahead and give that a listen. It's always a great time. Um, Today I just wanted to go over there's a few things that I'm changing about my setup, and I thought it would be worth discussing with you guys. So I recently just bought a Red Arc BCDC 1225D, which what that is a DC to DC charger that will allow you to charge a second battery with 25 amps of power to recharge it. Um, I have lithium iron phosphate stuff now, and I actually went with a Group 31 Deep Cycle HEM 100 amp hour battery, and I'm switching to that because I have had for the last time. I mean, I've said this in previous podcasts. I really like the longevity of a lithium iron phosphate battery, a lithium battery. I like it a lot. I like that they're lighter. I like all these, I like they're lighter. I like they got, you know, like 5,000 charge cycles in them. You can discharge them all the way down and it doesn't damage them at all. I like all those things about them. But the one thing I just can't have is it's not a failure because it's known, but those batteries cannot do temperatures below 20 degrees. They, some of them will allow the battery to discharge beyond 20. They won't take a charge, and some won't allow the battery to discharge. And some of them it drains them completely. So for the last time, I have power ports set up off my starter battery. So I can, in the case where it's cold and my diesel heater stops running because the battery's fully discharged because it's so cold, I do have 12-volt plugs off my starter battery. But for the last time this year, I had to do that, and I was like, this is dumb. I have this super fancy battery that just can't handle the cold weather that I do. And I don't camp primarily in the cold, but it is half the year for me here in the Midwest. It still is a legitimate 6 months of cold. And the potential for it to be 20 degrees or lower is high. So I just had enough. So I got an AGM battery. I reverted back. It's way heavy. It's super heavy. Um, and that's the downside. It's heavy. The downside is it won't do 75 million charge cycles like like a Life PO4 battery. But I just cannot have a battery that can't do below 20 degrees. Especially when my power needs are actually larger in the in the cold because I have the diesel heater and I have the fridge still. And the reason a lot of guys don't run their fridge when it's that cold, um, I like to put my fridge at a higher temp, and just because I don't want my stuff to all freeze. So I do run my fridge in the winter still. Is that does it really matter? I don't know, but I do it. But it doesn't do me any good when it keeps kicking off because the battery can't do it. So I've went to an AGM. That's what everything used to be before. That's a um, absorbent glass mat. So it's not a lead acid like a lot of car batteries are. My car battery is also an AGM though, but my car battery is not a deep cycle AGM. So what a deep cycle will allow you to do is discharge further without damaging the battery. It's got a little different makeup. So I got a 100 amp hour AGM battery now as my house battery. It's not yet installed. I haven't installed it. I have a Milwaukee pack out box, and it's all hooked up through Anderson plugs, which are essentially just plugs, so I can take it out. Everything, a lot of things in my truck, not everything, but a lot of things in my truck, I have tried to make to where if I was to, for some reason, wreck my truck, some stuff happens, hit a deer, who knows, whatever, that I could essentially take the parts that didn't get messed up and just put them in another Tacoma. Because I'm very happy with my platform. I just want to make sure that nothing's it's just easy to get it out in case I need to. And so I do have a lot of my stuff that way. So the battery's not, I mean, none of it's hardwired, like completely. The wiring from the battery and the alternator back to the bed is going to be there, but all the wiring to the actual DC charger and the battery is all Anderson plug. So I can just disconnect it and take it out. It's like I said, it's in a Milwaukee pack out. So I'll just take it out and move on about my day. And it's not in the vehicle, so I'm not worried about fumes or anything of that nature. Sometimes fumes are, different batteries, fumes are a thing. You need ventilation and stuff. It's in the bed of the truck. It gets plenty of ventilation. So I switched to that, and I don't feel like this was a necessary thing to cover, but I mean, I'm talking every day, so it is a thing that I changed, so it's worth discussing. So yeah, that just is something that I felt needed to happen so I can quit being in this situation where I'm not where I should have a lot of power. These things, I've got huge, like pretty solidly capable batteries. But they just die. And they definitely should not. Those of you that run a diesel heater know a diesel heater does not take a lot of battery. But I'll wake up in the one night, I'll wake up in the morning, 8 hours, diesel heater's pulling 12 watts. And I'll wake up to a zero battery, and then the battery's so cold I can't even recharge it. So that just doesn't fly with me. I can't have that. Um, it just totally. I mean, the whole point of having it so I can run this stuff. So that's one thing that I've changed. I mentioned earlier I had like a little single burner stove from Fire Maple, and I went ahead and switched to a iCamper Disco Scottle, just for the ability to cook a little more. At one time, a dual burner stove is nice. It's just big. The Scottle packs up into multiple pieces that are easier to kind of stow. So it allowed me to kind of wiggle those things in certain places where a dual burner stove is one big piece. So I really like that. The third thing I just got is man, trash roos are a nightmare for me. I think I even mentioned it recently, but I got a new tailgate trash bag made for a tailgate finally. So that comes today. So I'm actually extremely excited about that because the bigger trash root trash bags like rub on my rear bumper and they keep rubbing my paint off my steel bumper in one spot, and I keep having to sand it down and repaint it. So hopefully having one that's made for a tailgate, it won't be so much bigger that it does that. I'm hopeful. I don't want to be tiny, but I'm hopeful that it's a little smaller and a little shorter. So I'm real excited about that because I'm sick of repainting the back bumper and I need trash. So that'll be nice. And hopefully it's a good one. So hopefully it's of better quality too. So it's not always ripping and breaking and all that stuff, because that also is annoying. Like the trash roos are made to be on the outside of the vehicle, yet when you have them on the outside of the vehicle, they like wear down. I feel like prematurely, but it is what it is. This weekend, I I'm finally biting the bullet, and so I have an ARB compressor hard mounted in my truck. And when I got it, I have all the wiring harness and everything for air lockers. And I've been talking about it for a long time. This weekend, I dropped my truck off to get 529 gears put in it and front and rear air locker. So I'll be front locked and rear locked with 529 Yukon gears in my truck. So that'll be done in a week or two. That's a huge, I don't even want to say it's a huge modification. I've never had a front locker ever. I've never had a Jeep with a front locker. I've never had a Rubicon. So I just know that when you have an independent front suspension vehicle like a Tacoma, if the front starts spinning and bouncing, you break CVs. And CVs, Toyota. So CVs, here's just a piece of knowledge. Any aftermarket CV for any Toyota is way more susceptible to breakage than a Toyota original CV. I don't have any research on why that is, but there's numerous, numerous cases of this being like there's numerous where like get the best one at AutoZone, it breaks, it's lifetime warranty, but you're still replacing CVs all damn time. And then you're going to end up, and then maybe you hit something wrong, you need a realignment. Who knows what else comes with that, but it gets expensive. And the CVs from Toyota are like $300 a piece. That's $600 right there. Front locker, I mean, the gears cost a lot of money, but the front locker itself, the air locker, it's like $1,000. So I was like, if it could save me one or two sets of CVs, it'll have saved me what it costs. So the hope is that I can get that front locker so I'm not bouncing on obstacles or having to hit stuff with a little more momentum than I typically would have before to try and keep a little more of my drive line in shape. So I'm getting 529 gears and front and rear air lockers put in. I don't know. I'm at a point with my truck where I don't know that I'm excited about that modification. I think it'll be nice. I'll be very happy to be able to go back to the mountains and not be like, have more available gears for my transmission. That Tacoma's been like screaming up hills, mountain hills, So I'll be happy that that's a lot, hopefully a lot better. It'll take some adjusting, I'm sure, though, because right now it's got like 390s in it, and I'm going to 529s, which is extremely large. And then in low range, I'll be at like 100-to-1 reduction. So I probably could get out of the car and it'll just roll in low range. I would bet. I'll find out. A lot of guys go 529s because they go 35s, which again, if you get bigger tires, that reduces your gear ratio too. Functionally, you still have the gear ratio in there, but functionally it lowers it because the tire's so much oversized. That'll apply with 529 too, but I only have 33s. I don't have plans to go with 35s. The truck's just heavy and I want to be able to use all 6 gears in the transmission. I don't think since I've built the truck it's ever seen 6. Well, maybe a few times it's seen 6 gear, but pretty much it's 4th, maybe 5th. So I would like to be using that extra overdrive and see if I can get a little better fuel economy as well as some potentially lower temps, because it won't be downshifting so much. I hope. That's the hope. It's a very expensive thing to do for a hope. So, but I am hopeful that helps it. I am excited to have. I don't have a rear locker or right now even. It's open. My truck's an SR5. So, it'll be nice to have. I'm going from none to both. So, I won't really be able to talk toward like your TRD off-road trucks with just a rear. I won't have that experience because I'll have the front available to me as well. But that's just something that I don't know, I haven't been putting it off. I've been contemplating if it's really needed or not. And the lockers, it's neat. Regear is needed. but I've been going back and forth on if getting the lockers put in with the re-gear, if I even want the lockers at all, or just a rear, or both, or none, like I said. And when it came down to it and I got the quote and I saw the difference of just putting the lockers in it with the re-gear, obviously that's going to be the best time to do it. It wasn't so much money that I don't see the value. I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them. And I don't feel like I wheel extremely hard. I do some hard obstacles at times, but it would be a peace of mind, in case some stuff happens. I did wreck the truck last year, slipping off of something and with no lockers. And I feel like, well, for sure, if I'd have had a front locker, it probably wouldn't have slipped as bad because I would have had both front wheels turning. Because the way it slipped off. And that maybe, you know, again, I haven't had lockers in this vehicle, so that maybe would have prevented that from even happening with just both wheels spinning together. Because obviously, one wheel loses traction, the other one, it moves it moves the power over so that you can get over stuff. My truck doesn't even have all track. It's a SR5. It's not a base SR5, but it's not it doesn't have much fancy stuff. I mean, it's got a physical key, no push start. Um, and actually, that's something to talk about. Toyota's push start on the 4Runners and Tacomas, the previous gen, the third gen Tacoma, and the fifth gen 4Runner right now. A lot of people are getting their cars stolen. And it's real popular for people that go hiking or surfing or anything like that to put their keys in like a lockbox and like attach it somewhere, whether it's the spring or the hitch in the back or somewhere, and it's like a padlock. But you can, with the push button start, you can cut that off with bolt cutters and just take the lockbox and like put it near your radio, and it'll push button start your truck, and it'll unlock it too, because like they got the door pull unlock. So if anybody, I've never been asked, why did you go SR5, but like those are reasons. I wanted an actual key. I got a ton of money in this truck. Like, you can't do nothing with my truck without the physical key. And I've actually even been in a situation where my key lost, like my key needed reprogrammed and my whole truck was just shot. Like, because the key needed reprogrammed and there's like no even putting it in and like nothing worked. So I had to get 2 new keys and I had to get them reprogrammed, and that was a small fortune. Um, but it's still cheaper than losing my truck with all this stuff. Like, it would absolutely get parted out. My truck would get parted out for sure. Buy buy somebody if they stole it. So that's just something that I need to let you guys know. If you've got a keyless car with a push button start, find somewhere, some way to secure that key that's not those lock boxes, because bolt cutters will just take that right off and that thing will open and start with the key in the lockbox. And they'll probably steal the truck and figure out the key later. I mean, you can even just use a what is called a flipper and pick up the key transmitter code and just get another one. People that are good at tech, that's not hard to do at all. Garage door openers, keyless entry, all those frequencies and signals are very easy to pick up from a device called a flipper with just a simple modification. So, not to be like Mr. Security, but like, just know you don't feel too comfortable with it. It's not that hard to get into. My Subaru, for instance, when I leave the key in it, I have an app, so I can lock and unlock the doors. So I just leave the key in the car and lock the doors through the app. So if you've got that ability, or that's something you could upgrade to on your vehicle that has push button start, and essentially the touch, like you got the key in your pocket and you touch the door handle and it unlocks. That's something to think about. That was a huge part of getting this car. was the fact that I could do that. I can locate the car. I can actually shut the car down from the app if it's going somewhere I don't want it to go, for instance, and it notifies me if the car's moved without, it like knows I'm not with it. So it'll notify me on my phone. I can also remote start it from like anywhere in the world on that app. So those are all things that mattered to me for the exact reason, again, of I couldn't get one with a key. So when I was looking, I was like, I'm not trying to get this thing stolen, and the potential for me to, you know, I go swimming, I'm not getting my key in my pocket, but I don't need to go swimming and having a good time and then come back and my truck's gone, my car's gone. So that mattered to me. But nonetheless, moving on from that topic. So yeah, my truck's getting front and rear lockers, getting re-geared. I got the new trash bag. I switched to an AGM battery from a lithium iron phosphate battery. And I don't have a just I this is something that's almost like standard. I don't have an inverter. Um my fridge is 12 volt, my diesel heater is 12 volt. I've got USB plugs that are 12 volt C and A. I do not have a power. I don't have a AC inverter in my truck at all. The only thing I have that needs AC power is my DeWalt batteries. To recharge my DeWalt batteries. But I actually just got 4 big ones and I just charge them before I go. If I ran out of those batteries, then I got problems. Because all they run is I've got a Bluetooth speaker that runs on those batteries that I had made. That is freaking super awesome. Anyways, it's in like a Harbor Freight box with all marine grade electronics, so it's like actually waterproof and stuff. And it runs on DeWalt batteries. But I had it made that way because my chainsaw's DeWalt, and my chainsaw goes with me. I don't carry like drills or anything. I do have DeWalt drills, but that's irrelevant because I just got it so where the batteries match the chainsaw. So that way it's just the same, If I want music, and the battery in the speaker breaks, then I can have take it out of the not breaks, but runs out of juice. I can take it out of the chainsaw and put it in the speaker, or vice versa. For some reason, I forget batteries and the chainsaw runs out of battery juice. I can take it out of the speaker and use it. Just more redundancy, just thinking it out enough. I have had Bluetooth speakers before that need like recharged and stuff, but this one's legitimately waterproof. And it's got like a little amplifier in it, and I can change gain and bass and treble, and it's just nice. I mean, it's just nice. And it's got a little Bluetooth thing in it, so I can connect it to my phone. You don't have to worry about it. It's in a Pelican case. It's super nice. Maybe I got to get a picture of it sometime, and I guess I'll post it on my social media. That's new-ish. I'm really happy with that. I just found a guy that was making them. I was going to get a turtle box. I was looking at turtle boxes, and then I saw guys were making these that run on drill batteries, power tool batteries, and I was like, man, I want one of those. That makes way more sense to me. So I just found a guy somewhat local to me that builds them because that's who I want to pay. Get my money to somebody local, and he built me one for my DeWalt batteries. And it's super nice. It's good sound, really good sound. Way better sound than any Bluetooth speaker I've had. And I've had larger ones, like sort of like this. This one's still great. And again, you could control it all from your phone, so you don't have to there's no physical like crap on it, which is nice. I mean, I can see the negative in that, but it's nice because it's working right now. So I'm trying to think, what else have I really changed much lately? I don't really know. Oh, I got a shower tent awning thing, a privacy room, and I got a new toilet. I got like a galvanized metal Ironman 4x4 toilet, bush toilet that can hold like 400 pounds. I don't know. It's nuts. But I also got, you know, poop bags and because I'd been doing it kind of like a dog, like poop in the woods and pick it up with a bag and stuff. So, but again, my girlfriend goes with me and I don't think that's her jam. So I got ones with poop bags and like you could put the gel in them and then you just throw them in the trash, pack them out. So I did just recently get that too, not too long ago, and it seems nice. I haven't used it yet. The last two times I've went camping have been events, and that's when I got it. So, and they've had bathrooms. So naturally, I'm not gonna do that. I have not even installed my privacy thing yet at all. So I gotta get that and get it installed and deal with that. I think I'm gonna need some type of like extender so that it doesn't lay on the side of the truck. I don't know. That's all stuff for another time. I'll figure it out. I haven't needed it yet, so it's a non-issue. This weekend I'm going camping. I am dropping my truck off this weekend at at the shop. So I'm going camping Friday night, Saturday night, dropping the truck off Sunday. And where the shop is, there's actually no like public land kind of. So I use a thing called Hip Camp. And what Hip Camp is essentially you can pay for it's paid. It's not free. It's not public. It's private. But you can use Hip Camp. It's an app. And it's like, I don't know. It's not exactly, but it's like Airbnb for camping. So you can book camp spots, reserve camp spots ahead of time. You pay for them, and they've got some amenities and stuff. So I used that. I've used it before too. Like sometimes because part of my deal with this is like sometimes I'm going to a place and overlanding is a part of it, but I still never want to be a hotel. So what Hip Camp is, and I'm not sponsored, no affiliation with them at all. It's just something I use. But what Hip Camp allows me to do is find a camp spot, because sometimes you go to public lands, like Colorado specifically, you go to public lands and it's full. So you're there, you're not going to get a hotel room for 200-300 bucks. I mean, you're really not anywhere near a hotel, so you can get on Hip Camp and find a private camp spot and stay in somebody's like person, like people make like campgrounds, like private little for just primitive and like truck overland RV vehicles without power and stuff. And I haven't been at a bad one yet. So sometimes I just am in places where it's not the Ozarks, and you can't just go do that. A lot of times I go to the Ozarks for the camping and stuff out there, or I go to Kentucky for that specific. But sometimes I'm in Kansas City, St. Louis, and I'm going to this or that or the next thing, or even just passing through. And I need, I got my truck. My plan is to do this event, that event, whatever, sports game, whatever. And I want to camp because a lot of why I have the truck built is that's my hotel. That's what I'm using when I travel. I don't want to travel and be in a hotel. Then I will have just spent all this money on the truck and I'm still spending money on hotels. That's not at all my idea. So Hip Camp I'll get on. It's like 30 bucks a night. Pretty typically 25 to 35 a night for a Hip Camp place. But they're all clean. They'll like deliver bundles of wood to your spot before you get there. You don't have to check in or anything. You do it all through the app. Pretty nice. It's a pretty nice thing. It's something definitely to have in your back pocket if you're somebody that travels a lot. Because not every trip, like I said before, overlanding to me, isn't just wheel. I mean, it's travel. It's travel. You're traveling. Sometimes that's a lot of road. Sometimes that lands you in a city. Sometimes you're in a place where public land is not available. Not every state does it quite like Arkansas. Missouri for sure doesn't. Kansas for sure doesn't. Illinois for sure doesn't. Michigan has some decent stuff, but it's way north. So Hip Camp's something just to have in to have knowledge of and kind of just look. And it's very, very similar. It seems like it's very similar in the way that it operates to Airbnb. I've actually literally never rented an Airbnb. But I've looked on Airbnb and it looks similar. Like it's a host, it's you reserve it, they got to approve it, you pay ahead, like stuff like that. So I think it's similar. But Hip Camp's super nice. So that's what I'm doing this weekend specifically so that I can still camp and drop my truck off. I've hopefully got it situated with the mechanic that's doing the work on my truck to where I can drop it off and I'll have it back before my next camping trip in 2 weeks. So he's aware that I'm dropping it off after a trip and that I will be attempting to pick it up, a few days before I go again. So that way I can get the new tune in it for the gears and kind of get acclimated to the lockers and switches and all the stuff that he does before I take off in it somewhere. So let's hope that works. Not everything goes best to plan. If not, then in 2 weeks I'll be camping in the Subaru because I do have a Gazelle tent and stuff, so I can camp in the Subaru. Again, that's something I can do, and that's something that allows for more people to come, more people to sleep. So I can bring new people. I could bring my kids, some of my kids' friends. I could just bring more people and do that. The Gazelle helps me with that, but the Gazelle can go on the Subaru. So, because the Gazelle tent's huge and it's a T4, so it's the bigger one. It's not the T3. So it's bigger and it allows me to put, 4 or 5 kids in it if I needed to, or, an adult and 2 adults and 2 kids even. So that's just something I have and I will use if I need to. But also I wanted to start putting out some content for you guys about, you don't need all the stuff that my truck has. My truck's a lot of fun for me. Like building it's fun. Having it's fun. Like it's not necessary. Like a lot of the stuff on my truck you do not need. I like having it. It's cool. I like gear. And I, have the means to buy it and have it and do it. And so I do. But my truck has way more stuff than I would consider necessary at all. I mean, hell, even just the gears and the lockers, like it will go do what it's doing without those things. I just want them. I don't like how it's not, quote unquote perfect to me. So I want to try and get as close to that as I can. And, but that's 100% not necessary. My Subaru stock is stock is stock. It has a phone mount in it that I'm on right now. Like that's it. I have a cooler in the back. So when I go grocery shopping, I can put the groceries in there. That's what I got. That's it. Nothing crazy. It is the Wilderness Edition, so it has it has skids already, and it has bigger gear ratio. It's lifted a little bit, like it comes that way. I did buy that trim, so it's not a base Forester by any means. It has, it's got like the WeatherTech style floor mats and seats are like waterproof and stuff like that, but still stock. It's still a Subaru produced vehicle. It's not something I've modified at all. So maybe I'll take that at some point. I will be taking it and putting out some content about like, hey, look, I do have like I'll put them side by side and be like, this is a lot of stuff. This is not. You don't need it. So anyhow, but that's what I got for today. I went longer than I wanted to go. I thought it would be worth, instead of just always, hey, I'm talking education. Once in a while, update on what I'm doing. I feel like I don't know if you guys like it much, but it's nice for me to get a little. It's a nice little break for me. So hopefully you guys enjoy this, knowing a little bit about me, what I got going on, and tomorrow go ahead and listen over on Newfound Overland with me and Benji, and hopefully you enjoy it. I'll be on tomorrow again talking about something more than likely something educational again. So I hope to see you guys on here tomorrow. Appreciate you guys that are here, and I'll catch you later.